Father God, we pause and we thank you for this time of year, and we thank you the season we have to celebrate your birth. We're thankful not only for that, but also your resurrection on the cross. We're thankful for the privilege and the opportunity to serve our county, our constituents, and we pray for wisdom as we look into the things that are before us and ask for the wisdom to make those wise and prudent decisions. And we pray you would also watch over the first responders, those who keep us safe and keep them and their cohorts safe also. After this prayer, we pray it all in the name of Christ. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, welcome to the December 15th Commissioners meeting, last one of the year. It's been a pretty productive and eventful year. Hopefully it's still productive. Maybe not as eventful tonight, but definitely as productive. So you've got the agenda and the notes from the last meetings. Any changes, alterations?
Motion to approve the minutes
I'll
as
second
presented.
that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Then aye.
Aye.
3-0. Payroll of $297,032.29. Claims of $2,114,200 or $2,114,015.79. Sorry.
Motion to approve the financials.
Second.
3-0. All right, Sheriff Holiday is recovering today, but he did send me numbers. So we have a total of 63 inmates, 33 are pre-trial circuit, 20 pre-trial superior, 9 DOC, and 0 F6. And he says no other issues in that, so that's good. We did appoint AJ Campbell to the Animal Control Task Force.
Okay.
He's new. I know that was in the paper, but I don't know if everybody knew that's who went on that.
Great.
Scout
Thank you.
on that, so. Okay, Mr. Witt, you're up.
Currently, I have no new project updates on any projects signed to me. They are wintering over and finishing up final records. So as soon as those come through and we complete final acceptance, we'll be able to move on and close those out. Winter operations, we're a little bit busy this weekend. The team was out on Saturday afternoon. We came in at 1 o'clock, made one pass through the county, and came back in on Sunday morning at 6 a.m., made a second pass through the county. The winds did not materialize that they were forecasted, so we were not back in until regular time this morning. Over the weekend, we did have 2 breakdowns. One truck, underbody concerns, and another truck with transmission issues. We were getting transmission error codes, so we're having a little bit of fun. It is nothing that is not new to winter operations and is very common. Pushing and moving snow can be a little bit difficult on vehicles. In between the weather, we're continuing to do work on the Meridian Road conversion. If you can get a chance to come up between 8 and 900, we brought quite a bit of stone in and started raising and thickening the base up so we can get it in place and finish the grading out process. Coming along fairly well.
You're working on that over the winter?
Yes. As time allows, we're able to get in there, and it's something we can do in the cold weather months, and then the freeze and thaw kind of helps settle the stone in place that we're putting down, so it helps us get ahead. So by springtime, we can be prepared to seed, sod, and put in 3 coats of chip and seal. So the first layer will be number 9 stone, and then 2 layers of 11s. On the agenda tonight, I did have a meeting with Sheriff Holiday talking about clothing policy. And I did receive quite a bit of information, things that I was not aware of with clothing policies with the IRS and what is taxable, what is non-taxable. So long story short, I will move ahead with a policy for the highway department. It seems most of his clothing kind of falls under some different statutes in that, more of their specialized equipment that I'm not understanding. But our class 3 apparel that I'm working us into, along with all of our insulated clothing like Carhartts and so forth, falls under a non-taxable. So that should be fairly straightforward for us. Some of the things I'm working through with my team is they're used to items such as socks and thermals, and that does not fall under that category. So we will work through those bumps together. Last week, I emailed a strategic hiring plan, a draft for equipment. It does look like it's fairly large up front, but as a baseline, I set for the baseline as if we were purchasing all equipment, like kind, and at a new price. And on a yearly basis, that is quite a little bit more than what we're budgeted for. So I will begin looking through the process and getting a good understanding of what leases or rentals we can get through based on what hours we use the equipment for. Do we really need to buy that piece of equipment if we only use it for 400 or 500 hours a year if we can rent it or lease it? And then make determinations of, do we really need to have that piece of equipment at all? We have a few that maybe we can divest ourselves of and not replace. So it's a large list. I'm continuing to add to it as I go through each piece of equipment, but I will continue to work on that and bring the best information I can for us to move forward. Last but not least, we do have the open mechanics position. I have interviewed 3 candidates and working to find us a candidate with credentials that meet our needs. A lot of folks interested, but maybe not folks who have the experience and credentials to do what we need them to do. Good folks, just not quite there yet.
Did you get the lift? Were we able to acquire the right equipment before we get the person? Or is it gonna be a timing thing that we get the person and the equipment?
I think it's going to be a timing thing. I've reached out. I've not seen the estimate come back yet. I reached out again today asking for an update. It did not come in before I came here, but I think it's one of those things where it's going to be a timing need, especially through the winter months. I was curious to see what kind of damage, or let's not call damage, but breakdowns that occur during the winter. I'm used to multiple breakdowns and being short of trucks, and so far that has not been the issue for us, but myself and some of the other folks are helping the mechanic when needed, run parts. Some guys are going to be changing oil next week or later this week with the weather, so we can't do anything outside. So on Thursday, it's going to be wet, it's going to be rainy, it's going to be muddy. So we're going to do upkeep on our vehicles. They fail us, we can't do our jobs. Yep.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Matt.
This is normally where we present rights of way. We do have 5 rates of way for approval. These all come under our Area Plan Commission process. The 5 rights of way are at 1,000 South and Meridian for J&L Farms, 200 South for the Nussbaumer family, 100 West for Fisher, 600 West for Schwartz, and 900 South for McCammon. I'd like a motion to approve the 5 rights of way.
Make a motion to approve those in total.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
3-0. Did you want to go over, who's taking care of the openings? All right, Nate, you're up.
Good evening. First up, we've got permits. Again, we've got a pretty substantial packet, all 8 this evening being from Brightspeed. These 8 permits cover portions of Nottingham, Chester, and Harrison Townships. And this time around, it is primarily upgrades to aerial fiber on existing poles. So not a lot of new infrastructure being trenched in or anything like that, just rehanging new facilities on existing poles. So I'm recommending all 8 of those for approval tonight.
Quick question, Ted, we talked about easements and costs and charges and all that. With these, not these particular ones, but how does this roll into that costing? And should we be charging a fee for our easement right-of-ways?
This is not necessarily the type of easement or right-of-way that we were talking about, but it could be included in that because there's a similar cost. They are using a right-of-way that's generally appropriated by the county, and we are allowing them to use it. So there could be, along with these permits, they take an application process. Our county engineer has to review it. Our county engineer has to look at things. There are a few things that Wells County does without charging the public that I believe other people do that take more than just the regular amount of time. So I would suggest that our county engineer and I could talk about this for implementation of a new cost schedule that would be appropriate to defray the costs that we incur.
So I've traveled around since we plowed, and Matt had a discussion about plowing, some debris that's thrown on the side. So I drove around the county and start looking at damage, and a lot of people are saying, well, that happened when citizens did this, or that happened when so-and-so did that. And at the end of the day, the county and the taxpayers end up fixing those things. So I think we need to at least implement a bond system and a process review and a fee for when we take care of this stuff. Because I think we've taken care of it to the point that people just go to Wells County and do whatever you do, and then they'll take care of it. So the sooner the better on getting that in.
So, wow, Jeff, you just sold my next bullet point.
Sorry.
So, yeah, in addition to those permits, while on the topic of permits, I was also going to just kind of bring up, a couple weeks ago, I sent you guys proposed revised permits for doing different types of work in the right-of-way, rather than it be a utility permit per se. It covers various different types of work that we would permit them to do in the right-of-way. All different types of work with associated fees for review and with bonding to make sure that they're adhering to the permits and that we have a finished product that is ready for, us to maintain, that they haven't left us a mess. So, I was going to ask tonight if anybody had any feedback to offer on those. I know when I sent it a couple weeks ago, Jeff, you had responded that you liked the idea. So I'm hoping personally to have that approved and implemented at the next meeting was going to be my proposal. So if you guys have any feedback in the meantime, or if we need to fine tune any of the language in the conditions of the permits, then I'd love to try to facilitate that between now and then. That way we can go into 2026, hopefully with a new permit form and fee structure that's more uniform and more on par with what our neighboring counties are doing.
You guys remember we talked about this with NIPSCO not getting a permit, and actually we had some issues on the drainage board where they had missed their depths and actually caused some issues. One, they should have got a permit, but two, even if they would have, in the current state, they're not bonded, and it's chasing around. If we've got an open bond, then if it falls on us, at least we have the cash in advance or the bond to cover those fees. Right now, we're kind of exposed, so I'm all in favor of getting that done now and having it implemented Jan 1, or next meeting, 2026.
We'll work on that. I believe that there's an ordinance requirement for additional charges from any office, so we'd have to look and make sure that we're putting together the appropriate ordinance. So we'll certainly endeavor to have it done soon after the holidays.
Sorry to steal your thunder.
Oh, no problem. It was a good segue. Next up, I have an on-call engineering services agreement with USI. This kind of came about in spending some time looking at the Bridge 41 damages and working through that process with NDOT. So initially, they had kind of given us a price to help go through some of that, any design calculations that would be needed, assessment of which portions of the bridge would need to be repaired or replaced, and in going down that road, I worked with Beth because she thought we had an on-call contract to facilitate those types of services, and we don't. So this is this would, one, give us a way to work through some of those items with them on this particular project, which is an immediate need. But in that agreement, there's a kind of an à la carte menu of other services. Should we decide to utilize them, we would have this kind of to work off of. And it's any services that they provide would be initiated by me. It would be something that I would come to you guys with saying, hey, I'd like to use the on-call contract to have USI provide these services. It's really more of having an avenue ready should a need arise, is how I view it.
Do we need more than one bid for on-call services?
This is a service by a professional, so we do not technically need a second bid. We can approve this as a contract for services. This would be in conjunction with the ongoing multi-year contract that we have with USI for bridge repair and bridge evaluation. I believe it's with USI. I apologize.
USI has small structure inspections. BFNS has our bridge inspections.
Thank you for that
But
clarification.
You're on the right track, yes.
Does this automatically renew?
This has like a 5-year expiration on it, and it's use it or not. It's really just, like I said, it gives us an avenue to utilize them for a service if something comes up. If we're thinking about doing a project and we'd like to have them do an engineering assessment on a bridge, we could say, you know, hey, give us a quote to do that, and then use this fee structure to do that.
You just need a motion to approve.
Yeah, and it requires your guys' signatures, yes.
Is it all of us or just the president?
I believe all of us.
Okay.
Ted, have you had a chance to review this?
Yes. Yeah, our county engineer distributed early last week. I apologize. I don't want to say late, early last week, so that we've had time. The USI contracts are generally compliant with Indiana statute. They do a lot of work with government agencies, so there's generally not a lot for me to look at or change.
So, no objection.
I have no objection.
I'll make a motion to accept the contract then.
Very good. I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
3-0. Oh, then we need a motion for the utility permits.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
3-0.
All right. We had the annual bid package opening. We held a public meeting at the Wells County Highway Garage in the conference room on December 5th at 1 p.m. I did provide a summary attached here of each of the categories that were included in the annual bid package. So if you like, I can go down through and read this summary, or if you have any highlights that you'd like me to touch on, I can do that now. I've had a few requests from folks that were not at the public opening to compare bids with, their competitors. Those that were present at the opening went ahead and took pictures of their competitors so that they have it as a reference. So that's how we're handling that on the back end as far as transparency.
We can do the same thing as last year, accept all bids and use them depending on regional need.
Yes. And I've kind of
Your last
prepared that
paragraph.
statement and recommendation at the end of the summary.
Are there late bids that are being considered? There shouldn't be.
There are not. I did have one question, and it's only because we added one new category this year, which is similar to how Jared requested quotes for like an equipment and an operator type of hourly rates. We tried to do the same thing. That was category 13, and we only got one response. So I don't know if it was a timing thing, because Jared seemed to have got several other responses, and I sent it out to a lot of the same folks. So I don't know if there's a mechanism to receive those as a late bid or not.
I would generally never recommend to any of the Wells County people to accept a late bid. If we want to rebid that process for personnel services, we could do so.
Okay, well, we'll revisit that if we decide to do so then.
Yeah, if we've submitted a bid and we have a deadline, we should make all of our contractors be responsive. And then, while I'm not one of the elected commissioners, if someone can't respond by the deadline, I don't know how much you would want to trust them moving forward.
So do you want a motion with everything except item 13? And then you'll start over with item 13 on a separate process?
Yeah, let's go that route. I like that.
Is that okay, guys?
I'm all right with that. But it's, the motion is to accept all bids, depend on location and need, and exclude 13, and you'll rebid 13.
Right, and to clarify, 13 was hourly rates for on-call equipment use.
Ted, you all right with that verbiage?
Yes?
Make that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, and just one project update this evening for Bridge 54 on 600 West. Included kind of a quick snapshot there so you guys have an idea of the progress, but essentially they've completed the superstructure removal, removed all the deck and railing, and they've started to remove the piers. So once they get all of the removal done, they'll start on foundation work.
Is there 3 piers or 4?
Right now, 4,
Okay. They're all coming out. They're going to start over.
correct.
Okay, thank you.
What are they gonna do? Are they gonna, how are they gonna stop the water for that? Are they gonna pylon around that to
Coffer dams.
cover dams?
Yep,
That'll be a fun one to watch.
yeah,
Yeah.
When does that start, you know?
now.
They're
I
putting
mean,
coffer dams in now, or they're?
Well,
just
I
still
mean,
going?
the piers have not been removed yet, so, but yeah, as quick as they can get it done pending weather, but I mean, they'll be working all winter out there.
When's that supposed to be back open? May?
So it's a 260 calendar day closure, and it was closed at the beginning of December.
Basically September, Labor Day.
Yeah.
Next Halloween.
Right.
Labor Day to Halloween area, so, okay. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay. Dewey. How are you, sir?
Gentlemen,
Dewey?
I'm well. Good to be here. As you, as you know, this month brings the end of my 6th term of appointment. And back in October, I hit a magic number on the birthdays, and my personal commander-in-chief suggested I be home more often. So with that, I decided not to seek reappointment. It's been a kind of a bittersweet decision because I've really enjoyed the job. It's the best job I've ever had. But I think we have things in place to continue on. I do have with me this evening 2 other gentlemen. George Thomas is the commander of Post 111, and Joe McFerrin, who has recently been appointed as a service officer for the post. And normally the way things work is that the service officer for the post would also be presented and appointed as service officer for the county. I'm not sure exactly what else we would have here. I think you have Joe's resume, his job application in front of you. I think he's a known quantity to you, having served on some other boards. So I would open it up for questions if you have. Other than that, we would ask for Joe to be appointed as the service officer for the county for 2026.
First of all, thanks for your service. Appreciate what you've done for us.
It's been fun. It's been fun.
Been good working with you, so.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I know Joe well too, so I don't have any issues whatsoever, so. I'll make that motion.
Then I'll second.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
3-0. Thanks for your service and welcome. Thanks. Got some big shoes to fill.
As a final comment, or request, I guess, when I was first appointed 6 years ago, my predecessor, Claude McMillan, was allowed to stay on for a month. in the position while I was trained. The same gentleman that did my training is going to do that for Joe. If it's okay with you, whether by just being an employee or maybe a contractor, however you'd wish to do it, if I could stay on through the end of January at least to get, make sure the office stays open.
I'm willing to do that. I'd
Yeah.
like that.
Transition. You don't want to lose any continuity in between, so absolutely.
Wonderful.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Lotzenheiser, you spend a lot of time in front of the microphone, sir.
He just likes us.
Just likes you so much. Yeah. All right. Today I am presenting a due pass recommendation for the proposed partial text amendment to the Wells County zoning ordinance. So on December 4th, the Wells County Plan Commission gave a due pass recommendation by a vote of 6-4 and regarding to ordinance amendments and regarding solar development in Wells County. So I'm going to go through what those amendments were, and then if you guys have any questions for me, we can go from that end. So the very first thing, one of the items that we wanted to do that was well discussed is we wanted to shrink the amount of solar development sizes that we had in the ordinance. So originally we had small, medium, and large. So it became evident to the board through taking public comment and through our own review that we'd rather have it just as small and large scale projects. So removing medium both as a definition and as a permitted use. The second part, we wanted to implement a set of regulations for small and structure-mounted projects. So small projects would need to meet the setback and height limitations for the zoning district that they're located in. It also would be on or directly adjacent to the primary user of the generated energy, and it could be interconnected with the grid. Structure mounted, that's either added a solar panel that's on a roof of an existing or proposed structure. So we're talking about it's being built on something that is already there or is being built on something that is actively being constructed. The same review concept that it is on the same property or next to the property of the primary user of the generated energy, and it can be interconnected with the grid. The next section of ordinances or amendments goes into Article 14, which is the development plan requirements. These are specifically for large solar development. So on large scale, the first part was the non-participating property line setback. So for most zoning districts, it would meet the setback requirement for that zoning district, except for an A1, which would require a 60-foot buffer from any non-participating property line. In 14083 CC, it talks about the non-participating pre-existing residence setbacks. That would be increased from the original 400-foot setback to 1,500 feet as proposed. And then the visual buffer requirement around the facility. One, we wanted a clarification that would be maintained for the life of the project. Two, that it would be implemented anytime that a house was within 1,320 feet of a participating property. So that's when the buffer would be required. That it would be opaque so that you wouldn't be able to see through it. And then that the buffer shouldn't be in the public right-of-way or any easements without going through the easement encroachment process in the zoning ordinance.
So Mike, that 1,500 is from the residence?
It's
not
from the residence itself, yes.
So in some cases, that setback could still be on their property. If they own a mile-long stretch to the direction of the solar panels, 1,500 might not even encroach on next.
That is
to the
correct,
property.
yeah.
Some of them it might, but
Yeah, but it's the setback 1,500 feet is from the actual
From the
structure
house,
itself.
from the stru-
Yep. And the final piece is the definition section. So here you'll see the changes between small and medium as in regards to scale. So originally, the solar was broken down by its energy capacity, what its nameplate energy capacity was. The proposal is to change that to the amount of acreage that it takes up on a property. So large is anything 20 acres or greater, and small is anything 20 acres or smaller. We looked at that, and the reason for breaking small and large at that 20 acre was really looking at a project that might be for a factory or for a school or for a larger energy user, that we saw just doing the math that 20 acres should cover most of those things. There might be a very high energy user that wouldn't fit into. But most things would fit under that requirement, so they break it down that if you are using it for your own cycle, that you are a small project, and if it's over that, then is large. The other thing on that, again, removing the medium definition, and then on structure mounted, just keeping up that it could be on a pre-existing or new structure, and that also both the small and structure mounted have an exemption for a project that's only 30 square feet of panels. So with that is the amendments that are proposed. We did put together a mock project map that showed the setbacks for large. That was in your packet. There's also proposed findings of fact as well as the director's opinion in there supporting the amendments as proposed. So if you have any questions for me at this time, I'd be glad to answer.
I got one. So I watched the last half of the APC meeting.
Yes.
I think I missed the first part, but tell me, how did 1,500, what is the theory behind the 1,500? Was it arbitrary and just a kind of a number grasped at, or was it a?
So, yeah, the 1,500 foot, an increase to the setback is to reduce the potential negative impacts of a solar project. So when we're looking at any change from the initial requirement to a number moving forward, that is what we're doing. So in that, specifically looking at the ordinance amendment itself, the 1,500 feet is to help develop the agricultural area in a pattern that is amenable to that zoning district. So we believe that a 1,500 foot setback from a residential structure develops it in a way that wouldn't be negative towards those property values and to the way that those areas are currently being developed.
And then in your additional information here, I'll note, and you guys know this, but just in probably the last 7 hours, 8 hours, since maybe 8 a.m. till now, I think I've received 57 additional emails that probably aren't represented in this packet.
Yeah, so obviously the packet is in regards to people that emailed the Plan Commission office prior to the meeting.
Both for and against, so just check your emails if you have an additional.
Oh, yeah, we've got many, many, many.
Any additional questions for Mike on, as it relates to solar?
I guess my only question is, not regarding the large one, but the small one.
Yes.
And we had a conversation over the phone of how it was set up and the amount of acres of glass, I'm gonna call this panels, that can be on a 20-acre parcel. And they were trying to say they wanted to spread out so they could, bale hay between them or something like this. Is there, they can be scattered around, or is there a certain quantity in the 20 acres of panels?
So, yeah, so the way that the ordinance, the definition is listed today is as measured at the outer perimeter of the solar array or solar arrays. So the definition, it takes into account that there might be multiple solar arrays on a property, and then that would be individual perimeters added up to a 20-acre total, or it might be a single solar array.
You might have 60 acres covered with 20 acres of panels.
Yep,
Right, and
Whole
let's say,
acreage is 60.
right,
correct.
I just need a clarification. I think most people assume they're gonna just stick them in and put them there, rather than one here, one over here, one over here, or something.
Yeah, so if they were separated and were individual arrays, they would be handled that way.
It's total surface area.
Yeah, I think we had talked about that internally in regards to how we would look at that. There's obviously a prescriptive spacing to panels based on they can't shadow the next one. That is just what they have to be. And if they were separated further than that, then they could be considered individual arrays.
I think it comes down to cost too. The farther away you get them, the more
Yeah,
power,
there's
the
more wiring,
line,
there's more other, you might have to have multiple
inverters.
inverters and other pieces.
One other note, and this isn't official yet, but I have a meeting with Ian from Paddlefish, but through some emails I got today, it's my understanding that some of the lease contracts have already been dissolved, and there's an intent to dissolve the EDA, and there is no application from the APC right now. Correct?
Yeah, there is no current application. The rest of the stuff is not in my purview.
Any other discussion or thoughts around this?
I don't have any.
At this time, do you have any questions for Mike?
I was just going to reference that this was passed by the Board of Zoning of the Area Plan Commission on February 4th. They did what the Board of Commissioners had asked them to do, which would be to consider issues in regard to how we zone solar projects. So we want to thank the Area Plan Commission and the Board of Zoning for doing that, of course.
December 4th, though, not
December 4th.
What did I say?
February.
Oh, I apologize. Yeah, no, definitely December 4th, yeah.
I'm like, dang, I wouldn't have.
So I was going to say, I was going to commend you on being timely and bringing it before the Board of
all right. I
Commissioners,
appreciate
but if it was, yeah, so my apologies for that misstatement. It was December 4th, of course. That meets the requirement that the APC has to bring it to the Board of Commissioners. There is no requirement on the timing of the Board of Commissioners to vote on the proposal or to take it under consideration, and I just reflect that in the past, this board has taken other Area Plan Commission matters, zoning ordinances and revisions under advisement, so you have all the information you need.
Obviously, the Plan Commission office would ask for your support in the recommendation that was handed to you from the board. So I don't know if your intent is to take other comment today or not, but glad to answer any further questions you have.
Personally, I don't think we open it up to additional. We've had plenty of public conversation. I think we're kind of clear on where everybody stands. I have my own opinions, but I'll leave it to you two for comments or input of how we move forward.
Want to give this a little more time to me.
Time to
Yeah. I want to take it under advisement. Make sure I understand all the ins and outs.
Commissioner Gerber.
With that said, from Mike, I would suggest we make the motion or make a decision at our first meeting in January of '26.
No reason to going longer than that.
Okay. I will plan on being there. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Mike.
Mike, you're still on the hot seat for two more topics.
Yep. Not get rid of me that easy. All right. All right, so I wanted to talk to you, one, like this, to start by saying thank you for being part of the POCOBASH Task Force and allowing me to represent you. As we have worked diligently to move this unique and game-changing project for Northeast Indiana through the paces. So what I've provided to you today is a synopsis of looking back and saying what has been done and where we have to go to finish the POCOBASH Trail, which is to connect the Wabache State Park here in Bluffton to Pokagon State Park in Angola. So the 82-plus mile trail section has made some big headway over the last couple years, thanks to the task force and the individual communities and trail organizations that work within Steuben, DeKalb, Allen, and Wells County. You can highlight on the report, you see some pie charts showing the level of investment that's happened in each county. And one of the neat things about being on the task force is we get to see what each community is doing, how they're obtaining funds, what avenues have been successful to them at bringing in money to help bring this project forward. So like you can see in Steuben County, significant investment from state funding. You also see significant local funding and donations. DeKalb County, you're seeing a very large $5 million donation from the Eli Lilly Foundation. In Allen County, you're seeing a wide mix of local as well as donations, a very sizable donation by the Van Family Foundation for the crossing over Coliseum Boulevard, which is a key gap right now on the POCOBASH Trail. And then in Wells County, you're seeing the mixture of state and donations and local funding that helped to put the last mile of the interurban trail as it went out to Lancaster Park. The map shows detail in regards to what needs to be done still. So the highlight is that most of the urban sections of the POCOBASH Trail have been completed. Now it is connecting those legs together, which is the task of the task force itself. Something that we are actively working on, and knew it would be a uphill item, but we are going to apply for the second time for the BUILD grant through the Federal Highway Department for design and a planning grant to do design work for the remaining sections of the POCOBASH Trail. We see that in all projects where we're looking at grants and private donations alike to make something like this happen, that having engineered plans ready to go on the shelf is a big step forward in making that happen. So working with Wells County, Allen, the town of Ossian, and then DeKalb County and Steuben County along the way to each one of the trail organizations, as well as all the jurisdictions along the way. If we are selected to receive that planning grant, we would start working on one, determining the official route of the trail through the initial phases, and to get all the way to the point where the design plans would be ready for right-of-way acquisition and construction once funding is brought forward. So this time I would ask if there's any questions in regards for me to take back to the task force. I wanted to give you this a picture of what has happened and where we have yet to come as with the project.
As we do developments on the north side of town, are we asking those developers that if they extend, or they're on this route to extend the path while they develop that property? Is that one of the asks that we give the developers?
It is not a requirement today to do that, but we have had success with talking with project development in regards to making connections to the trail and other parts. Has been very successful, just working with people, and the more people understand the value of a trail system like this, which not only connects to all sorts of things within the city of Bluffton, but then a greater connection in the future, the more people are interested in being part of that. But I could see that as a tool in the future, if a key piece of property would develop along the trail route where the connection is imminent, that might be something that's looked at, or even the right timing to try to do it at a lower cost when the contractors are already on site, and maybe the same paving contractor could do the trail work. But with design plans in place, we could start to do that type of stuff and be like, yeah, just implement it. We already have it designed in the section.
Do you anticipate the route from Bluffton to Ossian to be on the east side of State Road 1?
Yes, at this time, unless if the engineering study would define it to be different. Yes, and the town of Ossian has, their council voted that they would like the trail to move on the east side and then go to the Archibald Lewis Park and then come around the east side of town and up Davis Road to connect to all those residential sides. And then they would work internally to connect to the trail.
One other question.
Yes.
Is there a possibility if somebody wanted to or had permission, could they just put the trail in for us rather than go through all these steps? I mean, if somebody, a farmer says, I'll just do it. Can it be done that way? Or is it because it's in an easement, it has to have all the steps?
Yeah, I mean, so at the end of the day, we have to have, like, it has to be under, we'd have to have the right easements and stuff in place for long-term maintenance and action on that. So it would, at that point, it would take, if it's outside of corporate limits, it would take your body to accept that type of development. We also, the hesitation on that would be, okay, to make sure that it'll work with the next properties and be done that way. So the consistent design, but there will be opportunities as the trail develops for the donation of right-of-way and other features that would happen along the way to help make those things happen.
So what would be the next thing, Wells County? Let's say we want to help between here and Ossian. What would be our next step?
So the big thing right now is the build grant. So to be supportive.
That's a federal grant.
Yes, it's a federal grant. So, you know, in that process, when we initially applied last year, which we did get some really positive feedback about our application, they just had very limited funds to put towards projects. This year, they've already said that there's much more funding. So we think our application's still strong. But, you know, contacting our federal representatives would be a strong way of support for the project to let them know that, hey, Wells County is in favor of having this grant and we're behind the project. Those are things that we would greatly help us to get to that point.
Thanks for the info.
Good work.
Yep, thank you.
One more.
Yep. And the final thing, we've been working in the background here for a couple months and working to get the county qualified for the what is called the GIO seed grant, which so what it is it's to support our GIS data and specifically our addresses, center lines, and other data sets that are needed for 911 dispatch. So one of the big moves across the state and really across the nation is to move things to what is called Next Gen 911. And so the state has set up a process through the GIO's office to help support counties moving their data sets to be compliant with that Next Gen 911 standard. So what we're proposing to do, to move forward with, is to use Abin-Marsh as our consultant. And then they'd take a look at our data, they'd make the suggestions, make the necessary changes to get it into compliance, and then work with myself and other participants to come up with a policy of how to maintain it, and also the guidelines to keep it up to date moving forward. So we've already went through the process with the GIO's office of having our data inputted and where we are lacking information at. So we have that report, and that's what Abin-Marsh has taken and put together for the grant. It is not to exceed the $30,000 that the grant is maximized at, and there's no local match to this grant.
When they see the gap, what does that gap require? Do we have to go out and GIS or?
No,
GPS,
so
everything?
it is mostly inside the data itself. It's mostly attribute issues, not line data. So they will look at the address points and the street center lines to make sure there's no gaps or overlaps or anything that would cause a problem in dispatching, mostly to make sure that that we're using the right standards for abbreviations, and that we have the right format for our attributes. One of the things we found out early on is our address number field is in a text and needs to be in a numeric style number so that the data can be read properly. So those are things that that will be handled inside the grant. And where our county is in good shape with, we will be able to take that 30,000 and work deeper into the project. So we might be able to work on our corporate boundaries and parcel layer as well. If funding is available at the end, Abin-Marsh will help us to get those things also in line. So as we're working, if things go quickly, then we'll move and get other data sets up to snuff with that as well. So that's all in their proposal that they've provided.
And it's all for calendar year '26.
Yes, it would all happen in calendar year '26. And so the timeline, it fits well within the year, it'll be done.
So you're just looking for a motion for the.
Yeah,
approval
just
to go
to accept the proposal.
Move forward with this,
Yeah,
President to sign.
and the president to sign.
yeah. And we would only, we obviously we have to finish our application with your blessing to apply for it. So we will do that promptly, and then if we are selected, which we should be, then we will move forward with finalizing that piece with Abin-Marsh.
My motion, allow president to sign. I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
3-0.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. I don't think Jessica's here. Jessica was gonna present the option for Civil Plus, which I know, legal's looked through that contract, but she's also, put out that she is open after, I think, talking to you, Commissioner Gerber, about looking at a couple other options, which,
We had a conversation, and our last mayor's commissioners meeting was in Huntington, and I gave her one of the speakers that presented for us, and I left it at that. So I'm not sure if she's had success in contacting them.
she's contacted him. I don't think she's got a response, so
Okay.
I say we table this one till, if Jan,
if
the
we can
first
do the
meeting or
first-
second
yeah.
meeting in January to get some other options.
At least hear something, but that's fine too. We can make a decision first time.
So I'll
Meeting in January.
really start out with the EDC thing, but it's in look at, does it make sense, does it not make sense? I know she reached out to people in the leadership of the county and got some feedback, so I think with that feedback, it's, hey, give us a chance to look at some other options, so. And actually talk to the group that's doing it now, so I think that's where we're at.
Very good.
All right, monthly reports,
The reports are all in there.
okay?
You have a cemetery board letter.
Yeah, we had a resignation from the cemetery board.
Yeah, Bill has served well over the last number of years, and hate to see him go, but it's one of those things, you know what position he served in, the capacity he served in, Lisa, on that board, and what,
He's just a member, wasn't
I
he?
think he's just a member.
does his term run, like, is he 3 years in, 2 years in, 1 year in? Cause we would need a replacement just to fill out the remainder of his term before we would. Yeah, he served on the solid waste board too for quite some time.
I'm looking at the list of commissioner appointments that was issued at the beginning of this year. Bill Dowdy was appointed for a term of 5 years, starting January 1, 2025, which would have then concluded December 31 of 2029. So this will result in a vacancy that we'll need to consider and appoint a new person. Does that sound right to you, Ms. Auditor?
Let's make a motion to advertise. In what time frame are we looking at? His resignation effective January 1, so
It's as of December 8th.
They
That's what
can,
it said.
oh,
they can still have a quorum though, it's not, I mean, we'll have time to get it posted and get it filled and they can still operate as normal.
And you're also gonna have an RSD vacancy as well, so I can advertise for that.
Which one's that?
Shady.
Yes, Shady.
Gotcha.
Do you want to put a deadline when we need them back by?
You tell me when you'd like to, how much time do you want? You want February?
I'd like to maybe either make the decision the last meeting of January or the first meeting of February, but,
Okay.
you know.
I'll do it by the last meeting.
4 weeks after the holiday, 4 full weeks after the holiday for posting and then have it on our agenda the first or second meeting of February, first meeting of February.
First meeting of February.
Okay.
I just pulled minutes of a report that was presented at the last meeting when we were considering appointments. Chris Pease was our appointee. Did he decide not to
Passed away.
passed away? So, of course, he cannot serve.
Is Rob Moon is
Yeah.
going to be his.
Rob Moon, we voted to replace. I just didn't know if we had other people who had applied for the cemetery board position.
Just
Okay.
Plan on February 2nd, having that decision, so maybe by the Thursday or Friday before as a deadline.
Do we have to have a motion to post? Can't hurt, so we got a motion, no? Okay.
Okay.
What's the board letter? Oh, we got that.
Same thing, yeah.
All right,
neither anybody will know.
oh. All right, anything else? Anything on the public side? Yeah, you gotta put your name and all that on there. Do you have a pen? Your pen?
Here.
State your name and what you're here for.
My name is Lindsay Hammond, and I'm here as your Northeast Community Liaison for OKRA, the Office of Community and Rural Affairs. Do you want me just to sign this now or after I'm done? Okay. Okay. So good evening, Commissioners. I'm Lindsay Hammond, your Northeast Community Liaison for the Office of Community and Rural Affairs, also known as OCRA. OCRA works with Indiana communities to build relevant and economically thriving places where people want to live, work, and grow. Our mission is to work with local, state, and federal partners to provide resources and technical assistance to aid communities in shaping and achieving their vision for community and economic development. The state of Indiana manages, via the Office of Community and Rural Affairs, manages the Community Development Block Grant Program for the state of Indiana. So we pull in federal funding from HUD that passes through the state, and our job as community liaisons is to work with our non-entitlement communities, so communities with less than 50,000 residents, to get this assistance into our small rural communities, and to help our communities assess their needs and where we can come and fill in the gap. I represent the 17 counties in Northeast Indiana and all the communities within those, and we work directly with the local units of government who are the applicants on our grants. We have a wide range of planning and construction grants that are available. And so I just wanted to come. I think it's easier with commissioners to come to one of your meetings and just speak during public comments. So I get a chance to introduce myself and let you know a little bit about OCRA and what we do. I would love the opportunity to partner with you to serve your communities. We also manage the Indiana Main Street program. So we help establish and provide resources and training and networking opportunities to our Indiana Main Streets that work our 4-point approach that would also help grow your tax base through economic vitality, promotion of the businesses that are in their Main Street downtown area. They do fundraising, they host events, attract businesses, work with property owners. So we work on that side of things too. I can answer any questions that you might have.
You're working with Jessica Best, our EDC director now on Okra Grants, correct?
Yes, I'm working with her in Bluffton, correct.
That's that grant that we discussed. We didn't both put in for it with the city and the county because you can't have it at the same time, so there's an offset.
The owner-occupied rehabilitation, yeah. I think the next step was we were gonna start with it in Bluffton and then potentially look at wider communities throughout Wells County.
That's a great start.
No, the only question I had was the regional sewer district because of toxin and the new project that's happening out there. And I think most of the monies have been allocated for the project, so too late. But, I mean, we have SRF.
Does that fall under that? Would a regional sewer district fall under Okra?
Yes, they would serve as a subrecipient. So we have, the county would still be the applicant, but you can pass through to a subrecipient. And I just had one recently where I had a regional sewer district come in under a county.
Mike, I've been hit up by Uniondale, some of the people in Uniondale about the system we have there now. Can we tie it into the regional sewer district to get more flow and more service and less smell?
So with Okra being community development versus economic development, we do not offer funding for any projects related to growth. We only serve the current existing residents in an area. So that's, we have some come in with applications and it will say expansion for growth. You know, we're gonna annex in this area and we don't do any of that. But if you've already, say, annexed in an area and it's put strain on your system, then we're there to help you with that.
Does that line go down 100 from Uniondale to the river?
It stops at the collection station, right?
Treatment plant. Then it's done. But that could be a collection point, and it could pump to Murray, which is 3 miles, roughly, 2 or 3 miles.
As far as toxin.
And that's definitely something that we can get together and sit down and chat about any projects that you currently have on the horizon that we may be able to assist you with. You're welcome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Anything else? Holly? Lisa? Commissioners?
Yeah, I'd like to share something. And I think it's just really kind of on a personal note, but it's still important. So, on December 3rd, it was a Wednesday night, so my father's home caught fire. And, he's elderly, he was asleep and pretty much unaware. So, one of his neighbors is here this evening, but I just wanted to thank publicly a gentleman named, Bob, Bothast, who, went over there and actually was knocking on the door, got to the point where he was trying to kick the door in until my father actually came to and realized that his house was engulfed in flames. So if it wouldn't have been for good neighbors and the kind of people that I think make up our community that really do look out for each other, we would have been planning a funeral instead of just working with an insurance company to replace a home. So I think it's important, especially this time of year and with our last meeting of the year, to I think be thankful for the kind of community we live in where people are looking out for one another. So. But that's all I had.